So we want to ask all of our beautiful artists here today, we want to know, what role does love play in your work?
What role does love play in my work? Well, it plays a big part, more specifically, self-love. I care about that a lot. I just got, my ex-boyfriend broke up with me 7 months ago. So me learning how to find myself or relearn how to love myself has definitely shown up in my work a lot, as a reminder to myself, but also to other people who are going through the same thing.
I would say that, also fuck 'em. I would say that, like, my love and my loves and my lovers and my heartache influence my work tenfold. However, love shows up in my work the most, because it's like the driving force of my creative career, that I want people to feel love and feel loved and love themselves. And so the idea, I think that art is the act of articulation is an act of reclamation and empowerment and inherently self-love. And so to be on stage and to be a strong woman talking about mental health issues or love or sexuality or identity, it is inherently love, right? And I love my audience and I love my peers.
Oh, I gotta say something? Okay. I think love is everything in my music. Like good love and bad love, and the love of music and the love of writing and the love of performing. Sometimes I love it and sometimes it hurts me to do it, and it's like a relationship that I have with it, and it has its ups and downs, but love is everything. That's all I write about.
Yeah, well, I grew up on novelas, so I'm dramatic. So obviously that's a big part of what I do. I think that I've been in love with the notion of love my whole life. And sometimes I have to remind myself that the way that love shows up in my life isn't the way that it's always practiced. And I was talking with Angel last night in the car, and I was just like, real integrity is sharing what I write. When I write love poems about people, sharing it with them, and that's the scary part. But it shows up in everything that I do. Like, if I didn't love what I do, I wouldn't write about it. And the first line of one of my poems is, all of my poems are about love, and at the root of everything I write, it has to do with the love, either for me, for my culture, or for some ain't shit dude. Whatever. Men welcome. You're here as allies, so you're whatever. You showed up. So whatever, you're here. You paid for a ticket, thank you. But but pretty much.
So I think something that's central in all of y'all's work is love of self and love of others, of course. And something that's really central, I think, in community building as an artist, creating your craft, right, is self-care. So I'm wondering how all of y'all take care of yourselves when romantic love does you dirty.
When it goes south.
I go to Tanya's Instagram.
Tonya, can you say what your Instagram is? Yes.
Okay. Very awkward at speaking, y'all. I love self-care, and it comes in many forms for me. I love watching RuPaul's Drag Race, America's Next Top Model, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Really, I don't know. I find that taking time for myself, even if it may feel as if I'm being lazy, I find that it's actually restoring a lot of stuff that's been taken from me. So I care a lot about self-care. I also have to do it for mental health reasons and for physical health reasons. So I set aside that time knowing that I have to take care of my body. It's really important to listen to your body and take that time for yourself in whatever form that looks like. If it means going to a bar and like getting lit with your friends, do that. If it means like staying home and like reading with your cat at your feet, like do that as well, like whatever form that takes, but take that time for yourself because, you know, you matter and all that good stuff, so.
Yeah, Tonya. So the question is self-care during heartache, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the most transparent answer I can give you is that I am a sloppy bitch when I'm going through a breakup. I just am, I text too much, I lean on my friends, I go dancing and make out with strangers. And that is all to say that I don't think there's any easy way to have your heart broken. And there's no graceful way to unfold that. And so, yeah, I think dancing is like the most therapeutic thing when you have to get free, when you gotta like shake it off you. And so I go dancing and I watch TV shows that are emotional so that I allow myself to cry. Like a really weird thing that I watch when I'm feeling like I need to cry is, what's the show about addiction? Intervention. No, that's amazing. Though Intervention, I watch Intervention because it's like families crying about how much they love each other, and then I just cry with them about how much I love. Okay.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not the right person to ask about this. I'm a mess. But I think, excuse me. Okay, thank you. Yes, I think feeling your feelings and like being in the dumps is part of self-care. Sometimes you have to do it. Where does it go otherwise? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. But after that, dancing is great. Being with your friends, being around family.
Being around me.
Being around Zoe. Mala, do they know what's your name? Sorry. The blooper spot.
You give out her secret identity. I feel like I'm in perpetual heartbreak. So it's just like, what did I do today? Sorry, I'm so like such a downer today. What? No, fuck everybody. No, but like literally what I do when I'm like in like the thick of a feeling, I watch Law and Order SVU because it just reminds me that men are awful. No, just kidding. No, it's just something about Law and Order SVU that's like intrigues me, and like I've learned to figure out the plot like ahead of time. I mean, you know, if the husband is someone famous, he's the one that killed a person, you know, like that kind of thing. And yeah, and I watch it. I go on social media binges, so I start overposting on. What is overposting for Yesika, right? But I'll go on rants and like I write poems and share them. And one of the biggest heartbreaks that I ever went to was when I was catfishing, and I told the person that I was catfishing, and the relationship ended, and I couldn't understand why it was ending. And we had such good chemistry. So I started doing this thing where I was writing a poem every day after we broke up, and I was numbering the poems, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. So it'd be like day 1, I miss him so much. Day 2, like, oh, he left. And then like I was doing that, and then eventually I got to day like 20 something, and I went back, and I saw that for 5 days I hadn't written. And so I said for 5 days I didn't need to write. For 5 days I was okay. And I feel that for me, like logging my heartbreak and like logging how much I'm suffering, and then the days that I forget that I'm suffering, it's kind of like when I'm realizing that I'm having success. And I also have a network of beautiful friends. Edwin and Angie are people that I could text and be like, I'm falling apart. I don't need you to check on me, but I'm falling apart. And they'll give me that space, or they'll give me a Xanax, and then that works. That just happens. Or I call, so for those of you that know, the 3 of us are 3/5 of a collective called the Mami Collective. And we're pretty much a glorified party crew. Yeah. So what we do is like, we need to go out, and we need to like finesse some drinks. Yeah. So what we do is that we tell everybody, Mala tells everybody that it's my birthday. Yeah. Because the guys are trying to dance with her. And so in order for you to get at the friend, you got to get at the other friend. So they'll buy us both drinks. and then you get 2 girls drunk for the price of one.
Don't spill our secrets.
It's okay. They're not here.
They're not here. Our targets are not here
I'm assuming
tonight.
the ones here are like decent humans, but the ones that we do that from aren't. Like they bought whatever. Yeah.
Mala, I'm wondering, do you want to answer the question?
Yes, y'all should answer the questions too.
You know, for me, self-care after a heartbreak is always the glow up and doing better. Looking better, dressing better, getting a better job. Honestly, it has always been the best form of self-care for me ever in life. There's nothing better than stunning on an ex. There's nothing better than that at all.
I'm going to echo that because I feel like that's been my entire 2017 to 2018 is just blocking everybody, cutting off everyone that doesn't need to be in my life anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, some relationships have expiration dates, right? And we don't allow them, right? We don't allow them to expire. And we keep like trying to pull at them and like keep them in the fridge type of thing. But they don't need to be there, right? We got to throw them out, move on, glow up, let the glow up happen.
Yeah, exactly. So our final question of the night. So there's a lot of people in here. There's a lot of people I see, you know, boot up and stuff. What is your advice for the young and in love? What words of wisdom do you have?
We'll start down with you.
Yeah, it's like no. It's like no.
Not me.
Don't do it.
I got something. What did you say? That bitch. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I got it. So when I was in high school or middle school, I was privileged enough to get to go to Europe for a trip with a history class. And I was in 8th grade, and this is gonna make sense. I'm just telling you about my life. On this trip, I was in 8th grade. I had never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and there was a guy on the trip, and I was like flirting with him, and he was flirting with me, and I ended up just like following him around like a puppy the whole trip. And and I tell this to my students. The most embarrassing thing I can admit right now is that I remember so little of that trip. I remember so little of Ireland and Scotland and England because I was so into this. I was so dedicating my attention to someone else, right? And I wasn't dedicating it to myself. And so I tell my students when they go to my summer camp or when they're in my classroom, like, I want this time to be for you and not where you're thinking about what do I look like in comparison to this person, or how am I presenting myself, or is this person gonna like me? You know, we so often see the world through a filter of other people seeing us. And I just want my students and the audience and my loved ones to go into love without that lens and know that the job is yours, take that job, that, you know, the drink is yours, drink that drink, or, you know, like that it's you first, and then you'll be able to, as RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself. All right, so 5 of you watched that show, so you lied to Tonya. Anyway, so that would be my thing, is that don't forget the rest of England and Ireland. And
my advice would be don't judge your partner if they fart during sex.
Zoe and I had some like really inappropriate answers for this. I won't mention them now. But I think I had like one really, really bad relationship that like everything I did was for this other person. And then when like they left me, I didn't know who I was anymore, and I had to like learn how to live without them, and I had to learn how to be without them. And it took me so long. It took me like years to do this, to find myself again. And like my advice would be, don't do that. Like remember who you are, keep yourself, stay who you are in this relationship. Don't do everything for this other person. Do things for yourself. Put yourself first in this relationship. That's the most important thing.
I would say fall in love, fall hard. Just let yourself feel the love and understand that sometimes self-love is letting somebody else love you too. And I think a lot of us grow up thinking that we're not deserving of love or we don't see it in other people and we tend to push it away. So we have a partner who sees us and wants to support us. We should let them do that. And however that is. A lot of us are raised thinking that sexuality is one way. And so just remember that you could learn your sexuality at different ages, and if your partner ends up being someone who you didn't expect to be your partner, it's okay, let them love you too. But also, if your partner can't let you be successful without them making themselves a part of your success, run. So if you can't, and I'm learning this in my career, if I can't have my success without them saying, I want to publish a book too, then I'd be like, fool, bye. Or without them wanting you to put them on, or without them wanting to say, like, I made you. I had a brief partner that used to say he was going to make me a better poet. And he didn't want me to tell anybody. And then Angela hates him, so she's reacting. So this is my best friend, and she want to fire a partner. And she just has opinions about everything. But at the time, I thought, oh, my God, he loves me so much to invest in my art. Like, oh, my God, I've never been loved like that. He sees me. No, he saw me, and he saw where I was headed, and he wanted to ride that same train. And so now that we're broken up, I'm just like, I see you seeing me, and I'm not going to answer any of your messages. But he's a Capricorn, so don't date Capricorns, too. Just in general. Cis hetero male Capricorns. Let's make it specific. Right. Let's make it specific. Cis hetero male Capricorns that are from the Bronx. Let's make it even more that specific. Okay, bye.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I have advice. I need advice. No. But I would say this, that trust your intuition, especially for women, for femmes. Trust your fucking intuition. Trust it. Don't let people gaslight you and tell you that you're crazy. You're not fucking crazy. You know when something makes you uncomfortable. You know when something is not right. You know when something is crossing a boundary. Stick to it. A red flag is not a maybe. A red flag is a promise. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to those things. Yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, the red flag advice is great. Mala actually warned me about that one time, and I was like, no, it won't happen. He'll change. No, they don't. It's very true. They don't. Yes. So recently, not to hype us up, but also to hype us up, we were at the University of Oregon a few weeks ago. Thank you. And we got to meet a lot of the students, a lot of the women, the Latinx students that were organizing. And it made me reflect on my college self, when I went to UC Santa Barbara, so moving away. Folks that go to UC Santa Barbara are everywhere, I feel. Yeah, okay. And I wish that I hadn't been in a long-distance relationship, with someone from back home my first year. I wish I hadn't been in so many on and off relationships. And I wish I would have changed my major. And I feel like because I was so, thinking about these relationships, I wasn't really doing what I was meant to be doing while I was at school. You know what I mean? So moving back, I feel like moving back to LA, right? I feel like I was able to really just start over and build my friends, right? Have the Mommy Collective, start the podcast, right? Be here. So it's really invest in yourself. No one's gonna invest in you the way you invest in you, Yeah.
I have one final word of advice. Let your freak flag fly. Honestly. Listen, as long as we're talking about consenting adults, doesn't even have to be two. Okay. let your freak flag fly, and especially for the women, your sexual pleasure should be central. It should be everything. If your partner doesn't want to or can't or is not able to or whatever, you know, fulfill like your needs, you have every right to ask and to be vocal and to talk about what you want and what you like. And you have every right to say, well, actually, I'm gonna find somebody who can actually fulfill my needs. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be trapped in a sexless situation. You will be miserable, and you will seek it out elsewhere. Let your freak flag fly.
And do I have any plus-size babies in the house? Any of my fat girls, fat femmes, or whatever? My biggest advice is fuck with the lights on. And I know this sounds weird, and you're like, what? No, I mean, not weird, but like, it takes an act of surrender for someone to have, even if you're not a fat person or whatever, but it takes this act of surrender to turn yourself over to another person in this moment, right? And if they don't know how to respond to that moment, then they're not someone that deserves to be in your life long term. If someone makes you question any part of your body, if you have a mental health, if you deal with mental health issues, if you deal with anything like that, and they ever belittle you for any of that, you need to run. You need to run, because what ends up happening is this is someone that you're going to be with long term for many, many years. And if every time you feel an emotion or you're experiencing something, or you're overreacting, or you're dramatic, that. And also another thing, when you start dating someone in the beginning, they tell you who they are on the first date. If he tells you he's broke, he's going to be broke the whole relationship. And not to be classist, but sometimes you don't want that. And especially, yeah. I've been having feelings. So we have about 5 minutes left before we go out. So does anybody have any like last commentary, anything? Oh.
That's a good one.
Well, let me get comfortable. Okay, so on the first, so this is the thing. I've been on a bunch of first dates that never amount to anything because of the same reason that I'm like, no, thank you. If you ask them about their ex, ask them what happened with their ex. If they call their ex crazy, deuces. Because especially if it's a cis hetero man, he's gaslighting the woman that he dated. So if they call them crazy, then you ask them, what did you do to make them crazy? Because what ends up happening is most of the time, they ain't shit, and the woman just wants to be treated like a normal human being, and they say they're being crazy. And so that's a big, big, big red flag. But that wasn't the purpose of this night. The purpose of this night was to celebrate love in all of its ways. And we ended up shitting on people. But fuck it. You got all the tools now. You're going to go home, find true love that doesn't check all of these things. And also, I want you to look at this panel. We are a panel of a very diverse woman. Of women with many different careers, but we've all made artistry a job for us. And we all made advocating for other women part of the work that we do. And then we are all, whatever it is that are, like, whatever we are, some of us are queer, some of us are not, or whatever, but we're still find ways to put each other on. So if anything, on this Valentine's Day, go home, text one of your homegirls, tell them that you see them, that you love them, and that you believe in their dreams. Because we don't get enough of that. And so that's the last thing I want to tell you. That's it?
Yeah. I mean, ho forth and prosper.
Okay, so y'all heard us talk shit all night, right? And we just want to let you know where you can find us. So we are Locatora Radio. I'm Diosa.
And I'm Mala.
So you can find us on Apple Podcast, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, YouTube, and we're new to YouTube. Instagram. we just started doing YouTube videos, so find us there, subscribe, follow us.
So go ahead and join everybody outside for book signings, photos, chisme, hugs, the whole thing. Thank you so much for being here.
We'll meet you in the lobby.